Hey everybody, today I'm bringing you a layout that is a lift of a layout by Shamel Lane. She actually did a Facebook Live video. It'll be about a month from when you actually see this. And I decided to lift that layout to see what I could do. Now this is the first of 3 lifts that I did of the layout. This first one is going to be much more true to what her actual layout looked like. And I'm sorry, but at the time that I'm narrating this, I could not find a photo of the layout. So I'll try to look for it. If I find it, I'll throw it in my Pinterest scrapbook layout board. So anyway, I'm starting out there because Shamel used a border. I'm using that blue grid background, which is from Lawn Fawn. It's pint size pattern, the beach side collection. It's called Flip Flop. So I'm going to use that as my background, and then I cut this piece of Shamel True Stories. It's called Cappuccino, and that's going to be my main background for the layout. And I just took my Memento Dewdrop gray flannel ink and inked the sides of the paper here. With Shamel papers especially, it gives them definition. I think she inks them so often that when she designs them, she designs that way as well. Now I'm going to take that striped paper from Starshine. It's called Gemini, and I'm going to put a strip of that, cut a strip of it that's 3 inches wide, and I'm going to put it on the left side there. So the measurement actually is that big square block in the center right now is 11 1/4 inches, and then this one is 3 by 11 1/4. All right, so I'm going to put that down, and I'm just being careful about the way those stripes went. I want the stripes to lead into the layout, so that's what they're doing. I very intentionally cut it that way. And now I'm going to put a border strip on there. I think Shamel used washi tape, if I remember correctly, and you'll see that in one of my later layouts. But in this case, I'm going to use a border strip from the Shamel Starshine Kepler paper. And I like the way that looks. It brings out the teal color in the layout itself. And I'm just going to lay that up against the side of the edge of that paper there. I need to put a little piece there, and I've inked everything here. Very Shamel inspired. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm trying to figure out what to do, because Shamel did border her layout, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I've taken the Kepler paper. This yellow paper is actually the Kepler paper from Starshine, and I'm going to mount both of my photos on that paper. And I just like the way that yellow brings a pop of color behind those photos, because they are fairly dark. They're not great photos. They're just a photo of my family playing a game of Cards Against Humanity, which this is kind of what the layout is about. So now I'm going to take them, and I'm trying to put those photos straight, which is my natural inclination when I have photos, just because I am more of a linear scrapbooker, but you'll see that's going to change. And I have this piece from a cut-apart sheet from Shamel. It's called When in Doubt, Smile. I think that this is from her original collection, but I'm not positive about that. So it's a 3x4 cut apart, but I think it's from that first collection, because that was one that is. It could be True Stories as well, because the pink matches pretty well. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not positive. It wasn't, I only had that one and another card, so they weren't connected any longer. So that happens after a while. If nothing else, it's pretty old. So now, part of what I wanted to do here was use up some of her large wood veneers. I like them, but they're so big I have a hard time using them. So I found these 2 wood veneers. It's an ampersand and a ticket. It's from her very first collection, which was called Shamel, and it's the die-cut wood veneer shapes. Now I want a 3rd piece of wood on here, because otherwise those will stand out a little bit too much. So I went to some L Studio pieces that I have, and I found this label that says Right Now. So that came from a collection of theirs where they had some wood veneers and things like that in it. And you'll see as I've done that, I'm kind of playing with those photographs a little bit now. And they're starting to move a little bit. So I decided I wanted something up on the top of the layout, above the top photo, to kind of anchor that wood veneer. And then I also wanted another piece of something behind that ampersand to kind of, because right now it sort of looks like it's barely attached to something. So I'm playing around a little bit with color here. And then since I have it in, as right now it's in 2 spots, but I know I want some up there. Since it's in 2 spots, I want it in the 3rd spot where I have the wood, because that will then make sense. So that's what I'm doing here. Now all these cut aparts I believe come from the True Stories collection, but I don't have a paper name. I got the 12 by 12 pad here, and I don't know what these are from, but they were a sheet of Polaroid cut aparts. And I use them quite often, like I'm doing now, to sort of ground some sort of embellishment cluster. Sometimes I'll use them for journaling as well too, but my favorite use is for embellishment clusters. All right, so I'm just kind of playing with color here. I knew I wanted something a little bit darker on that right side because the ticket wood veneer is so light, and I wanted to bring some more of that kind of darker teal that's in the polka dot paper into the layout somewhere. So I'm going to do that. I'm playing around here with a little bit of yellow. I wanted a lighter thing here because the pink and the wood veneer are kind of light. Plus, I wanted it to be light because that cluster isn't completely anchored to anything on the bottom. The ampersand isn't. So I just wanted that to be a little bit light looking. And I'm going to sort of give it a shelf to rest on because I'll put the title over there. That's kind of what I was thinking, was that my title was going to need to go there. So now I'm just going through and inking all of my edges. I brought some green and some red up to the top. Again, I'm just kind of taking all the colors that are in the polka dots and getting them highlighted with the Polaroids. And I didn't do all of them because they weren't available or didn't make sense for all the Polaroids, but I have quite a representation of 4 colors there. All right, so now I'm going to start gluing things down, and what I'm doing here is I'm going to glue from the top down, basically. And that's because if I don't do that, when I move things, I won't remember where they go. So you're seeing me do that. Really, this is truly a case of top-down gluing. And now you can see that now as I've moved the photographs, so they actually are on, or at least the top one is on a slight angle. The bottom one is really very close to being straight. And Chamel's photographs in hers, she used 2 photographs kind of like this as well, were on an angle. I found those wood veneer badges. I've gone through a set already, and I found them on clearance somewhere. I don't even remember where, and I bought them again because I liked them. They're a little bit smaller, and I just like that size. So those flare badges are from Starshine, and they're called plastic buttons. And I chose 2 of them. One on the left says Explore. And that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're playing Cards Against Humanity, because, oh my goodness, there's lots of things to explore there. Although sometimes you don't want to explore too closely because you might not want to know what you're looking at. All right, I went to the sticker sheet and I found a sticker that says I Can, and it's a clear sticker from it's just called stickers. The sheet is just called stickers. So I actually took one of the Polaroids that I knew I wasn't going to probably use. It had a rocket in it. It would be less likely that I would use it. And I put that button, or that clear sticker, on the back of it, because the back was white because it came from a paper pad. And I'm going to use that way instead of just putting the sticker down. There's so much pattern going on, and I find that frequently in my layouts I have so much pattern going on, I have a hard time using clear stickers. So a lot of times I'll do exactly what I did here, which is place them on some sort of white paper. So I want to circle in each of the 3 clusters here, and because I have the I Can up there, and I did that because of the size, but even more so the color. The blue just was sticking out a little bit too much to me in that right cluster, and again, I'm doing that because of I want that cluster to the right to remain fairly light. Then I went to the sticker book for True Stories. It's the small sticker book, and I found this 7, the number 7, and I put that on that ticket. The reason I did that is there were 7 of us playing, and I don't use number stickers very often, so I try to do that use them as much as I can. Now, I found a sticker there that says Ace, and that came from Chamel's first collection as well. It's the letter stickers that came from. And I'm going to put that up on top there. And then I'm going back and looking because I see another sticker there that says Party, and I decide it wasn't really a party, but when we play Cards Against Humanity, it gets to be like one. So I decided to put that in there as well into that cluster, and that gives a little bit more color to the cluster, but it's very light and pastel-like, still working with the rest of the colors in the layout, but I like how that kind of anchors that cluster a little bit. Now, if you're looking at this, look at that. It looks like my ampersand is just going to fall off the layout there. So when you hear people talk about that, there's complete space below it. It's not anchored to anything. If I didn't do this with the title, I could have probably put like some washi tape or a strip of pattern paper or something there to help anchor that cluster down. But I'm going to do this by resting the ampersand on my title, basically, is what's going to happen here. So I took the glitter foam alphabet from Chamel's Starshine collection. It's the Fitzgerald in Aqua. And I just grabbed the letter CAH for Cards Against Humanity. It was so long I didn't feel like spelling it out. I could have, but I just decided not to. And then I want to use some sort of small letter stickers, and I found these October Afternoon Mini Market tile letters. They're the Land and Sea collection, and they're blue with a nice little green color behind them. So I'm going to actually, the full title for this layout is actually A Rousing Game of Cards Against Humanity, or CAH. And I'm just getting those down there, and now you see that that ampersand has a quote shelf to rest against. And it makes a little bit more sense. That doesn't completely look like it's going to fall right off. All right, and I just about have that done. I'm going to need to move my glitter letters a little bit here, but it's giving me at least a good idea of spacing, and that's what I wanted to do. And once you get one of these straight, it's nice and easy to get these down because they all just butt up against each other. And there I had to move that H. All right, and I'm using my waxed paper, if I could only think, my waxed paper to just help position things a little bit. And the shelf is done. So it's just a way to visually take up some space there and to give your eye a place to rest. And now I'm going down because I discovered I hadn't glued a lot of this down. I just secured a little bit in the center of these, which I'll often do, and then I have to come back and glue things a little bit more just because I like it. I like them glued down pretty well. And then you saw me kind of fold the layout a little bit to see where things are sticking up. All right, I do have a little bit of journaling to do. And I'm going to journal in those Polaroid frames, in all of them actually. And I'm telling the story in just little bits and pieces here. In this particular case, I was going to try to do it all in that red, but I ran out of room and the next word wouldn't work, so I just wrote across both of those frames. Sometimes I'll do that, sometimes I won't. All right, I am all finished. There's a still shot and a couple of detail shots coming up. Hope you're all well, and I'll be back with another video again soon. The next video will be the second in this series. Bye!